Hello everyone, can you all hear me? Welcome to today's satsang. We will start our schedule today with the Shabbat Paipunam. The title is The Master is an Expert Dyer. Then we have a talk by Michael and a talk by Rohit. The topic is Listening to the Shabbat Tune by Great Master. Then we will proceed to a short Dayan session and we will watch Master's video on YouTube and we will meditate with love and devotion. Thank you so much. We can start now.
Hello everyone. This is my first time singing and I am so grateful to perform this beautiful and meaningful Shabad from Kabirji Sahib. I want to thanks to Master for giving me this amazing opportunity. The title of my Shabad is The Master is an Expert Dyer, and before singing it I would like to translate. The Master is an expert dyer. He has colored my veil, removing the dark stains. He gave that color of love by washing, which fades not but becomes brighter day by day. Using water of affection in the tub of feelings, he poured the color of love, rinsing away the bodily sorrows and dirt. The expert dyed it deftly. The master who dyed the veil is expert, beloved, and great. I surrender everything to him, body, mind, wealth, and life, says Kabir. The beloved dyer is benevolent on me. Covered with this cool veil, my being is blissfully fulfilled. सतगुरु है रंग रेज चुनर मेरी रंग डारी सतगुरु है रंग रेज चुनर मेरी रंग डारी स्याही रंग छड़ाए के रे देयो मुझे ठारंग दोए से छूटे नहीं रे दिन दिन होत सुरंग सतगुरु है रंग रेज चुनर मेरी रंग डारी भाव के कुंड नह के जल में प्रेम रंग दई बोर जस की चास लगाए के रे खूब रंगी चक चोर सतगुरु है रंग रेज चुनर मेरी रंग डारी सतगुरु ने चुनरी रंगे रे, सतगुरु चतुर सुजान, सब कुछ उन पर वार दऊं रे, तन मन धन और प्राण सतगुरु है, रंग रेज चुनर मेरी रंग डारी, कह कबीर रंग रेज गुरु रे, मुझ पर हुए दयाल, शीतल चुनरी और केरे, बई हो मगन निहाल, सतगुर है रंग रेज चुनर मेरी रंग डारी, सतगुरु है रंग रेज चुनर मेरी रंग डारी।
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to satsang. Hi, Punam, dear sister. Your shabd was beautiful, and I hope your voice is beautiful. Even though you said it's your first time singing, but it's very very beautiful. I heard your soul singing for Master, and I hope you will do much much more seva for Master, and we will hear your godly voice again. Thank you again. And my dear brothers and sisters, welcome to Satsang. Ready? Are you ready for a soul drink? May everything here become a wine glass, God's wine glass. Let's all drink his nectar. Let's all drink his nectar and let's keep looking for the beautiful one, that beautiful one whose face is like the moon. Let's look for him inside of us. Let's keep looking until he shows up. He usually shows up when we are dressed in white, when we become his bride, that we all marry that beautiful faced one. We all marry him, and he shows his face when we are wearing the white robe. Do I mean in the white robe? Not just the white robe outside, but I mean our heart has to become white. When our heart becomes white, he shows up in our house. The beautiful one with the moon face shows up in our house, inside of us, when we when we have a white heart. So a white heart is needed. A white heart is needed for the beautiful one to show up inside of us. And how do we get the white heart? You know, they say right thought, right speech, and right action. Right thought, right speech, and right action leads to a white heart ultimately. And the beginning of everything is fear of God, is the beginning of wisdom. Fear of God is the beginning of wisdom, and danger foreseen is half avoided. Forewarned is forearmed. That if we know that the law of karma of this world. What you sow, so shall you reap, rules the three worlds. Then we should be careful. We should be careful not to have fear from God, but the fear of that law, that the law of karma is inexorable. It cannot be forgiven or changed except by the perfect master. That's why also in the Shabd that my brother Anoop played this morning, he said, Your humble servant is tied by the rope of your love. So if we keep that rope of love, we keep tied to that rope of love and make our destination the lotus feet, make the lotus feet of the master our home, the home of our mind. Like the Shabd said, the lotus feet are the home of my mind. So when we make the lotus feet of Father God, or whose father and mother, brother and sister, our home, when we make the master's feet our home, our home, the home of the mind, that means all our thoughts, all our actions are going in the right direction. Um, so that's where all the blessing starts with the lotus feet of the Master. And to put our head there, not just outwardly, but to put our inner head there, that's the big thing. To put our inner head at the lotus feet of the Master is the surrenderance from inside. Is that not just on the altar? A lot of people put their head on the outer feet of the Master as a sign of respect and blessing. But the real thing is the inner surrenderance and to put our head on His feet inside. That at some point the beautiful one will show Himself, and then inside of us, and that's the beauty, is that the real spirituality is when we drink the nectar from that lotus feet in there, from 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 inside of us. So every thought, every word, every deed, and every action that we have has an indelible imprint on our mind, and has to be accounted for. Like, so thoughts are, like I said in satsang yesterday, are very, very powerful, and they leave just like when you put your thumb on a hot wax, it makes an imprint there. The same thing, every word, every mind, every action, and every thought leaves an indelible imprint on our mind. And that's why we have to be careful to put a hedge around the sapling of our spiritual plant. The sapling, that spiritual plant has to be protected by a hedge. And what is that hedge? That hedge is the right understanding, right thinking, right words, right deeds, and right actions. And those right actions, right words, and right deeds come when we keep our mind on the lotus feet of the Master, when we make his feet the home of our mind. That's when we get the highest blessings, because then we are directed in the right direction. We are directed in the right direction, and that is avoiding collecting karmas by letting our mind free and loose. A loose mind is like a loose gun, a loose loaded gun, and it is very, very dangerous. That is why the masters, they give us ways and means to keep our mind on the holy path of spirituality and to avoid creating karma. um, One of the things that the masters give us is seva. Baba Fakir Chang, I was listening to his satsangs. I love him. He's so wonderful. And he was saying that his master gave him satsang gave him this seva to do satsang so he can keep his mind controlled. So I was like, oh wow, that's like like me. Like Master gave me this seva, and then seva keeps our mind controlled, because we have to think of the seva, we have to prepare for the seva, and we it's all all this time, instead of the mind wandering here and there, then seva controls the mind. That is very, very huge thing when we become conscious co-worker of the divine plan. then our mind, there is a rope, a golden rope put on our head and keeps our mind on the beloved. Keeps our mind on the beloved until we complete the course of man making. When we complete the course of man making with honors, then higher tasks will be given to us by Lord God. So yesterday, I got so happy because whenever I'm working and my work becomes seva, my outer worldly work becomes seva, I get very happy that not only I'm doing seva in the daytime, but I'm also doing seva in the nighttime. And yesterday was a very blessed day that I got two seekers that sat with me, and satsang started, seva started, and the feeling of master very strongly there started, and I was extremely happy. Extreme joy came on my face. One of the persons that came with me, he was 27-year-old person who was very nice, and he asked me a question. He said, he said that. You know, I look at the evil people of this world. They are doing such horrible things, yet they are living much better than me. They are living much better than me, that their lives are good and they are prosperous. Why is that? And then I was so happy to answer his question. I was like, oh, Master, please. I prayed to my Master. I said, Master, please answer this person. And then satsang started. And then I told him the story. I told him, okay, he had only like 5 minutes with me. And then I told him, okay, let me tell you the story. This story will answer your question. Once there was a king, and this king was blind, and this king was blind, and he had some spiritual power, and he could look for 100 lives back, and he couldn't find why he's a king and why he is blind. And then he met Lord Krishna, and Lord Krishna gave him more power, and he could see 110 lives before. And then when he looked at the 110 lives, he could see that in one that 110 lives ago he plucked somebody's eyes, and he did a big charity. So the big charity made him a king, and whatever bad deed he did with somebody's eyes, he had to pay for it, and that made him blind. So I told him that no matter what happens, even if today some people commit evil actions, but they are still prosperous and they are still doing good, and you see them doing good. However, at some point they will have to pay for it. That the law of karma is inexorable. It cannot be, and it cannot even be forgiven. That those people who are under the worldly law, they have to pay for that karma. They have to pay for that karma, even if it is 100 lives from now. And then I said, did that answer your question? And he said, yes, yes. And he started asking more. It felt like he didn't want to leave, even though like he had to leave because I had another call, and but I felt like his soul like wanted to stay there and wanted to ask more. So this world is a yearning place. There are so many people in this world that are yearning for the higher wisdom, yearning to get their questions answered and their thirst quenched. And that's why God, Master, sends us in this world. He sends us in this world as torch bearers, all of us here. We shouldn't hide our knowledge. We shouldn't hide our knowledge, even if we are not perfect. Even if we are not perfect from our own level, wherever we are, at least we can help somebody who doesn't know nothing. So that becomes seva. When we help people who don't know nothing, that becomes seva, and it's a great seva to give. Maybe that thing I told him, that story I told that guy, and then before he left, I told him, listen, you have to leave now, but I'll tell you, I'll just give you one thing. Maybe you can live with it. Watch your deeds, watch your actions, and watch your thoughts. Anything that brings harm to anybody, whether it's human or animal, don't do it. That way, at least you could live in this world doing good karma. And then he had to leave. But those few sentences that I told that guy as seva to my master, that probably will change part of his life, will change part of his life. And those words went deeply inside his heart and soul, and they will start. It's like seed. It's like a seed of God that went to him from my master, and that seed will start to grow, and sometimes will flourish, and that sometimes it will become a tree, and it will give its fruit. So that's how the journey of spirituality starts. It starts with a little seed, and that seed grows, and even if it has to grow in few lifetimes, but it will grow. It will grow. That person who came with me got to see the picture of master, got to see the picture of divinity. He saw my master Sant Thakar Singh, he saw Ishwar Puri ji, and he saw Baba Sawan Singh. That means, and he had respect for them. That means that small respect that he had for my master. Right there and then, a seed was planted in his soil. That seed will flourish one time. That seed will become something. It will become something at the right time. At the right time, and at whenever it is his time, then it will happen. He will meet a master. He will meet that seed will ultimately result in meeting a master, meeting a perfect master. It could take lifetimes, but at least the seed is there. There was another lady who came with me. She's, I think she said she's 20 years old, and she is half Polish, half American. And she started asking me also spiritual questions. We started with the vegetarian diet. I wish I could record that for you, because it's wonderful to see to see. And it started with the vegetarian diet. And then she started asking me more and more and more spiritual questions about my teachers. And then she told me, you know, my mom, my mom is having doubt. She's a believer in Jesus, and she has doubt about what you sow, so shall you reap, and the judgment day. And then another satsang started right there and then. I told her, okay, please tell this to your mom, that there are two laws in this world. There's the law of what you sow, so shall you reap. And people of this world, 99.999% of this world are under that law. And then that law applies to them when they die. Even the people with religions, they will still have to face their karma. And for some karma, they have to be reincarnated into a cow or a goat, for another karma in the heavens, for the other karma in the hells. And who knows when they will get the human form again. But there is another law, and that cannot be had from a dead master, I told her. It cannot be had from a dead master. It has to be had from a living master. You have to meet a living master. As God loved the people at the time of Jesus and sent himself in the human body, he also is always here in this world for the seekers. And she told me, what was your first step? I told her my first step for me to meet Sant Thakar Singh was I had to seek. I was seeking. There was a yearning, there was a fire in my heart that I don't belong to this world. I'm not from here. I knew from my past lives, because I meditated in past life, that the human being is unlimited, but I don't know how to reach that unlimitedness. So I was seeking. I was going to Borders bookstore every day. Instead of studying, I was at the university. Instead of studying, I would find myself reading spiritual books from Rumi, from Hafiz, from this person, from that person, trying to satisfy my quench. I like studied Buddhism, and then shamanism, and then Native American culture, and then one day I said, that's it. I want to go follow a master. They had they were talking about having a drink of peyote or something like that, and then having out of body experiences. And I said, I'm gonna go meet that person, and I'm gonna have that peyote drink, and I'm gonna have out of body experience. And then that is when Sant Thakar Singh appeared in my life right away. Did not allow me to go that direction, because all inner intoxication, all inner drugs, the inner wine, the nectar of God is not had by a drug outside. It's not had by a drink outside. It is comes from inside. And that's the time when God had big grace on me. And Sant Thakar Singh, when I went to Utah to meditate on the mountains, he appeared in a vision. He appeared in a vision, and he gave me so much love. And then 2 months later, 2 years later, in 1997, a friend of mine who went to the University of Chicago was studying to her. I was teaching her how to meditate. She was archaeology. She was doing her PhD in archaeology, and she told me that there is a meditation work class in a coffee shop. Do you want to come with me? And I said, yes, yes, I'll go. And then it was Santaka. Well, the moment I entered that coffee shop, I felt that, wow, whew, this is, my soul told me right away, this is what I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. Then I went to see him in person, and I realized that because I saw when he appeared to me, didn't have a turban. But then I saw him, and then when I saw him without the turban over there, I was like, "Oh my God, that's the person that appeared to me, Sant Thakar Singh." And that's how the story of grace started. That he did not allow me to go and deal with other paths. He just took me to the right path. So that is why. So I explained to her that there is two laws. One law is the law of love, mercy, forgiveness, and grace. That comes from a living master. You have to meet a living one who can put you under that law, uproot you from the law of karma, from the law of what you sow, so shall you reap, from the law of an eye for an eye. That law is deleted, and you are under a different law, the law of love, mercy, forgiveness, and grace. Once you are under the law of love, mercy, forgiveness, and grace, that's it. You are on the highway to God. You are on the highway to the kingdom of God. And the story, the love story, begins the good with the happy ending. And then I told her the story of I told her the story of remember the story in the Ramayana of Bali. Bali, he did some penances, and he did some austerities and some meditation, and he gained some great power. You know, it's not it's mental power that he gained, and everybody who fought with him in the Ramayana, everybody who fought with him lost half his power right away, and he could win at them. He could defeat them because they lost half of their power. There was a person, his name was Sugriv. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correct. Sugriv, that every time he fought with him, he was defeated. And then he asked Ramchandra for help. And Ramchandra knew the secret. He knew the secret of Bali, that and he said, "I will help you." He hid behind a tree, and when Bali appeared, he hit him with the arrow and killed him. As he was dying, Bali told him the law of karma. "I have not done anything against you, Ramchandra. I have not done any, I'm innocent. I have not done any bad action towards you. You're going to have to pay for this action. You will pay for it in your next life." Now, what happened? Ramchandra was reincarnated into Lord Krishna. And he was reincarnated into Lord Krishna, and that Bali, he was reincarnated into like a low caste hunter. And when Lord Krishna was in the forest after the Mahabharata war, he was resting, sleeping in the forest, and he had his foot up, and he had the lotus mark on his foot. And then Bihlal, the hunter, he thought that Lord Krishna's foot is the eye of a deer because he saw the lotus mark. He shot an arrow there, he killed Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna had to pay for that karma. He had to pay for that karma for killing Bali. He had to pay for that karma a big price that with his own death. This is the law of karma, inexorable law of karma, that we have to watch our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And that's why the masters say, be desireless. Be desireless, because sometimes when we desire something and when we get it, and I know that from my life, then we get attached to that thing. When our desire is fulfilled, then what happens? It becomes an attachment. Once it becomes an attachment, it's a cause for us to be reincarnated and come back to this world. It's a cause to come back to this world. It keeps us into the cycle of reincarnation if we are attached to something. That's why the saints and masters say, be desireless. Be desireless and watch your thoughts. My brother Rohit, he's going to talk after me. He said that the thoughts go and get registered in the Brahman. They go and get registered in the Brahman. So every thought, every word, and every deed gets registered. And if we desire something, that also gets registered in the Brahman, as Brother Rohit said, and then it has to be, nature has to fulfill it. There is another story of Ramchandra. When he married Sita, he had a lot of maidens and servants. And those maidens, because he was so handsome and a glorious warrior, they desired him. They had a desire for him. And that desire of those maidens that had for him got registered there in the Brahman and had to be fulfilled. So in their next life, when he was reborn as Krishna, those maidens were reborn as gopis, milkmaids, around Krishna, and to satisfy that desire. To satisfy their desire, they had to be reborn again. So we have to watch out for our desires, because our desires, as I said, could bring us back. What brings us back to this world again? It is our attachments and our desires. Desires also become attachments, and then bring us back, and attachments bring us back to this world. So when we have a desire, because we're all human here in this world, we all have desires. We all have desires. How to deal with our desires? And even if though we are initiated, sometimes we have a desire. How to deal with our desire? We have to ask Master's help. We have to ask Master's help. We have to beg Master to sublimate our desire. That if we have a lower desire, we have a lower desire of this world, then beg Master, please, please, please take it away. Sublimate it, change it, change it. From the inner within, we have to beg Father God with folded hands and tell him, please, please, please sublimate this desire. And because sometimes if he gives us that, if he allows us to have that desire and fulfills it to us, as I said, it becomes attachment, and it could lead to problems. It could lead to problems in our attention, because when we are attached to something, then instead of sitting here at the throne, at our throne that is reserved for us in God and in the kingdom of God, instead of sitting on our throne, then our mind takes us towards our attachment. And then when the mind takes us toward our attachment, we cannot have any inner growth. We cannot see anything inside, because our outer expression of the soul is going outside. It has to be reverted, and it has to go inside for us to start to grow spiritually, for us to start to enjoy the holy light and the holy sound. It has to go the other direction. So that is why we have to beg God, we have to beg Master to sublimate, sublime, make our desires sublime. That means get rid of them. And Master said, Ishwar Puri said, that the best way is when we develop love and devotion for the perfect one. Then that love and devotion will pull us from all our attachments. It will pull us from all our attachments and sublimate them, and then we just do our life as dharma, as duty. The duty to those people we attach to, they become just a duty, but our inner attachment is the marriage, the real marriage between our soul and the oversoul, between soul and God, soul and Master. That is the real connection. That is the real attachment that we have to pray for, to be fully attached to our inner Master, to be fully attached to God, and that will help us to overcome all our desires, worldly desires, and all our attachments, and sublimate them to a higher degree of love for God and love for Master.
And one of them was Rood Singh. Somebody has sent me link to a satsang in Indian language, in Punjabi and Hindi, of Rood Singh. And he has, in that discourse, quoted Narayan Singh, who gave a verbatim account of the time when my master, Baba Sawan Singh, was asked by his master to carry on the work of the spiritual nature that he was doing. There's an interesting conversation between the two. For some of you who are interested in the history of this lineage, history of how my master was asked to do this work, I'm going to share with you the conversation that took place between Baba Jaimal Singh and Baba Sawan Singh. Narayan Singh says that there were 14 people present, including himself and Baba Sawan Singh, in that small group, when Jamal Singh came and said, Sawan Singh, you will continue this work that I have done so far. Sawan Singh said, Babaji, right in front of you are sitting people who are more advanced in the spiritual path. Why are you asking me to do this? Jamal Singh said, let me check with my master Swamiji. His master was Swami Seth Sivdayal Singh from Agra. So he closed his eyes and he opened after a few minutes and said, there's great Moj. He has expressed his will. And Baba Sawan Singh says, what was the will? He says, the will is Sawan Singh will do this work. And then Sawan Singh says, but you know, Master, that I am going to be a retired subdivisional engineer with a small pension. You know, when you make me do this work, there'll be many people will be coming. How will I feed them with my small pension, with my small amount of money? How will I take care of them? Baba Jamal Singh says, wait, I'll check for that. He closes his eyes, opens. New Moj has come. New will has been declared. And Sawan Singh says, what is the new Moj? He says, new Moj is that there will be enough donations from the people who come to you that you will never be short of money. So don't even bother about it. Then Sawan Singh says, Master, you know, I have been an officer of the government. I've got a nice house to live in. You live in a little hut on the river. You don't expect me to come and live in this little hut. I'm used to living in a better house. So what will I do living in a small little hut? I have to take care of my family, and this will be a problem. And Baba Jamal Singh says, wait, I'll check it out. He closes his eyes and opens after a minute, says, new Moj has come. And Baba Sawan Singh says, what's the new Moj? He says, my master says the new Moj is that you will not live in a hut. You will live in a house equal to the house you have already got. So there will be no decrease in your standard of living. You still live like that and still do the work. He said, Master, but I have another problem. Now what is your problem, Sawan Singh? He says, in your discourses you tell people that after being initiated by a perfect living master, you will not come back into this world for more than 4 lifetimes. I am trying to get away from myself in this lifetime. And then you say that the master remains with you for those 4 lifetimes. I am trying to run away in this lifetime, and some of my disciples may not make it in one lifetime. I don't want to come back again and again with them. He says, wait, let me check it out. Now that's the best part I'm coming to. He says, let me check it out. And he closes his eyes and opens his eyes and says, new Moj has come. He said, now what is the Moj? Moj is Sawan Singh, anybody initiated by you will not have to come into a second life. That was the Moj. He said, with all these conditions having been fulfilled, I will carry out your orders. And he took over the mantle. And Baba Jamal Singh, that was his last speech. And he passed away after that. So this is some historical fact. I think great master was a very clever man. I think he covered all the ground before he took over responsibility. People sometimes ask me, are these masters born as masters? And they come with all the knowledge and enlightenment that they ultimately share with others? Or are they born like ordinary people? And during the course of their growth, they make progress like other people? And one day, they are found fit by their masters to carry on their work. And then they get enlightened and can do the work. The answer is, they are ordinary people. The answer is, they come with ordinary karma. They come with the karma of a human being, which is designated for that particular life, and there is no change in that karma. They are born in the ordinary way like any ordinary person. They die like any ordinary person. They live like an ordinary person. They eat and get disease and get treatment like ordinary people. Everything in their life is like an ordinary person with their ordinary destiny pre-written, like anybody else. The only difference is that at a certain point in their time, while they're making their own progress spiritually, their master determined that they are ready to now share this experience with others, and they enlighten them at a rapid rate, to the rate where they can share the same experience their master was sharing. Remember, not all masters have attained the same level of experiences. But every master who has followed this path of going within and discovering the truth has considered that they have found Sachkhand, their true home. And the reason for that is very simple. Every level above this level looks like the final destination. People who meditate here and go to the astral plane, the ethereal plane, all the heavens of the world that have been described exist there. When they reach heaven, they think that's it. How can you go beyond heaven? From earth, we have been told again and again, you rise to heaven. And God sits there. And God indeed sits in heaven. In one of the largest heavens in the astral plane, God sits there. And people worship him. He's called by all different names. All religions have respected him. All religions have recognized that there is space and time where heavens exist. They all recognized it's the origin of the experiences that we have here. All that is fulfilled there. There is no reason for a person reaching there not to believe that is Sachkhand. That is the ultimate place we have to go to. There's nobody to tell them. If a master himself has reached that point, and he's teaching people how to reach their true home, he will lead them to that level, take them to one of the best heavens there. One of them we call Vaikunt, is so beautiful and so full of adventures within itself. It can create experiences like you're moving from one stage to another in consciousness within that heaven. And yet it is just part of the astral plane, which according to perfect living masters is only the first level of realization of a higher world. Therefore, those masters still think that taking you into a heaven like that is fulfilling your journey and taking you back into Sachkhand. Those who pursue this further and use their mind to its capacity, the Advaita masters, who say there is no duality, everything has originated from one universal mind. And they follow that. When they are able to find that the astral plane is only a plane of sensory perceptions, it has the same similar experiences of senses that we have here, only the senses are sharpened. And they want to go beyond that where no sense perceptions are needed for perception. Through the mind, they can go to a mental state of universality, where they can feel that there's only one mind, which was divided into so many. And we became the many because of the universal mind. They take you to the top of the universal mind and take you beyond sense perceptions, where all perceptions combine to be one. And they call it Sachkhand, the true home and ultimate reality. It looks absolutely normal. For them, they were pursuing their action with struggle, with the mental efforts. For them, that is their Sachkhand. They have reached the universal mind. They do not distinguish between the soul or the mind. They think it's a combined force. That the soul and mind combine to think and take us where we want to go. There's no distinction between the two. What is lacking in these two levels of masters is they never emphasize the importance of love and intuition. They emphasize the importance of our kriya, of our own efforts. They emphasize mental effort. They emphasize the results of reaching levels of awareness which go beyond this level and which go beyond perceptions, but they end up with the discovering more and more of your own mind. Ultimately, the ultimate source of the mind. It's a copy. The mind, universal mind, is a copy of the totality of consciousness from where souls emerge. The souls transcend all above the mind, but they come down and attach themselves to the mind at the causal plane. All things are caused there. So there is no wonder a master or a disciple who reaches there thinks that is Sachkhand. This is the end of the journey. He discovered it. There are very few perfect living masters, very few can be counted on the fingers of your hands, who have ever come and said, the mind is not the ultimate. Even the universal mind is a roadblock to your discovery of yourself. Yourself is totality of consciousness. It is beyond the mind. It is beyond time and space. It's beyond the creator of time and space. It's beyond the creator of these worlds, of the three worlds. And our true home is beyond all this. These worlds last for a certain time, and a dissolution comes, dissolving the first level. A grand dissolution comes, dissolving the top level. And yet you are there. The true home is never dissolved. It's always there. So it's beyond the realm of the mind. These perfect living masters take us beyond the mind and show us the power of love. Because nothing can take us above. No meditation can take us above the causal region of consciousness. Only love and devotion can take us there. The only thing that can pull us above the mind is something that is not the mind. That is love and devotion. Love and devotion pulls us. Their unconditional love pulls us. That is true love that pulls us. Our devotion is a response to that. And we are pulled out of this and taken to Par Brahm. We ourselves recognize it. Brahm, the creating power, is Par that, is Par Brahm, is beyond that. Beyond Brahm, we describe it as like that. Where for the first time we find what the soul is like. First time we discover who we are. And we discover the self. And those masters, we call them perfect living masters. But they are higher than those also. These are perfect living masters that can take us to immortal soul. They take us to immortality. They take us beyond time. Yet, they only show us our soul. They show us what we really are. They make us discover ourselves. But they don't show that our soul is also not a reality. It's a created illusion from the totality of consciousness that we belong to totality of consciousness. Our true home is where we are one. There are no separate souls even. Those are perfect living masters whom we call Satgurus, the masters of truth. The others we call them, those who have reached the Parbrahm level, Sadgurus, masters who have become sadhus or realize their truth, true self. So these masters who realize their true self are Sadgurus. The ones who take us to totality are Satgurus. Truthfully, every place looks like Sachkhand, looks like our true home. Supposing in our life we have great earnest desire to go to our true home, and a master appears. As we keep on saying, when a chela is ready, the guru appears. A chela is ready, a guru appears. But he's a guru who takes you to the first or second stage, does not take you beyond. You follow that guru and you go to that stage and have great enjoyment, having realized the truth, realized this world is not real, the higher worlds, and you go to the top of the creation of the three worlds. Then what happens? If you are a seeker of more than that, first of all, you will feel more lonely than ever before. Your soul will feel lonely because the soul has not met its destination. The mind has met its destination. The mind will be satisfied. The soul will long for something more. When that happens, your soul is longing for more in spite of the fact that a master has helped you so much. A perfect living master from beyond the mind will come into your life and take you ahead. This is such a beautiful arrangement we have made for ourselves, that if we are seekers of something, we find it. Whatever we seek, we find. Whatever we seek with no doubt in our minds, we find. Therefore, when we seek only halfway, we get halfway. When we seek worldly things, we get worldly things. When we seek internal happiness, we get internal happiness. When we want just peace of mind, we get peace of mind. When we want higher awareness, we get higher awareness. When the soul wants to go to the absolute highest truth, the ultimate truth, a perfect living master will come in the life of the soul when the soul is ready and take it back to the true home, to totality of consciousness. When I explained this point at one time long ago, a friend of mine in the audience got up. He said, the way you are describing, it looks that we can keep on being deceived that this is the last stage. How do you know you are not deceived? That what you call totality of consciousness is the last stage, there may be more. I said, indeed, there are more. I am only saying that that is where you discover that the oneness of consciousness is creating everything. I am not ending the game there, nor have other people. There are some people who have said there are levels of experiences beyond that. Swamiji of Agra, who was the master of Jamal Singh, who was the master of my master, he emphasized the importance of going to Sachkhand, which is totality of consciousness, at the fifth level of consciousness. But his own disciple, a postmaster general, retired in UP, Uttar Pradesh, Rai Saligram, who was asked by Swamiji to carry on his work, amongst some others. He said there are stages even beyond, but they are not meant for the individuated soul. Because the individuated soul, when it merges with totality, it becomes total. So there's nothing for a soul to go ahead beyond totality. But totality can have experiences beyond what we are talking about. He named 3 kinds of experiences, even beyond Sachkhand, beyond the true home. He said there is an experience which there is no description available because we are talking of things beyond time, space, beyond causation, beyond past, present, future, beyond all the normal things we can understand. But he still described that there are stages which he called alak, beyond Sachkhand, alak, which means cannot be described, cannot be lakhya, or cannot be written, cannot be described. Agam, which cannot be known. And finally, the 8th stage, anami, cannot even be named. So all he's saying is these stages are beyond description. Why are these stages being mentioned? Because totality of consciousness is preparing a framework of creation, preparing a creation that we are experiencing right here. Where does it prepare that framework of creation? Those modes through which the totality of consciousness prepares that framework, creating darkness and light, creating dissolutions and non-dissolutions, creating permanence and impermanence. Those are the states of totality that it experiences, and therefore you might call them higher levels, or you might call them functions of totality of consciousness. But it doesn't matter. It's not the number that counts. Some people say, have you reached 5th stage or 8th stage? I said, I think I've reached the 1st stage. I think I've reached the stage where I understood that the master's love is the only thing. I understood that love can pull me to any stage, 8th, 9th, 10th, whichever exists. You can experience 1,000 stages in the astral plane itself. In the astral plane, there is such a variety of experiences, but they all are similar to the experiences we have here. They're easily understandable, easily mind can grasp them, we can describe them, and they have been described as heavens. Big descriptions exist in the scriptures of heavens, and that is what they are. You can keep on feeling you have gone to several stages in one stage itself. But when a perfect living master takes you to the highest, he takes you because your seeking is for the highest. People say, I want to be initiated by a perfect living master, not a master, lower category. I tell them, don't worry. It's in your hands. It's in your seeking that you will get whichever master you want. If a particular master comes into your life, he does his job, and then you go to the next, for the next master's job. It's like going to school. If a child goes to elementary school, to primary school, he says, no, my elder cousin goes to college and there's a PhD teaching that. I don't want to be taught by these teachers. I want a PhD. They'll say, but first you have to go through this course. One day you'll get a PhD also. The same thing holds true here. We have been roaming around so long in this created universe that if we find somebody who can give us the right direction, it's good. Even if we go nowhere but in the right direction, at least we won't go far away. If there are masters who are telling us, go to that river and have dip and you'll get something, if masters are telling us the reality is sitting on top of that mountain, if somebody says, go to Tibet and on the Tibetan mountain the masters are helping you, if people are pointing to outward things, they are giving us the wrong direction. There is no truth outside of us. But if a master who is not competent to take us anywhere, says the truth is inside, he's done a good job. At least he's pointed us to the right direction. And if a master can take us one step, very good. We were not even one step inside. He's taken us there. It's our seeking that will then take us further beyond that. Therefore, the secret is seek, and you will find. You have to seek to find. The seeking should never stop. People should never feel, if you're not satisfied inside with any amount of teaching, any amount of experience, the seeking is still there for more, keep on seeking. If you seek, it is not your job to find the master. A perfect living master will come into your life to take you to the point where you are seeking. Therefore, it's good to remember that people sometimes get a little concerned about it. I don't know if my master is perfect or not. I don't know if that master is perfect. And I tell them, well, whichever master is pulling you with his love, go. One man wrote to me. He said, tell me a real good test. There are so many masters today. Give me a real test. Which one should I follow? I said, whichever one pulls you with his unconditional love, follow that master. Don't worry about anything else. He said, there are two masters. Both pull me equally. I said, you're very lucky. We can't find one. You found two already. So follow anyone. One should not get tied down this argument in the head. Oh, which master should I follow? There are so many masters. Of course, we know that for every master, every perfect living master who walks upon this earth, there are so few of them. There are so many others in the same area who are not masters, but pretend to be masters. They're fake masters. Great master used to say, for every perfect living master, in the very area where that perfect living master is operating, we let at least 11 or 12 fake masters looking more real than the master who's real. So therefore, don't worry about this. See what your inside soul is saying. See what your soul is seeking. See where it wants to go, where you are pulled. See when you meet people, does something pull you? And pull you inside, not on the skin, not in the body, but something deeper inside. Is your soul being pulled somewhere? Associate with that person. Associate and see what happens. If the pull increases and doubts begin to disappear, follow that path. Don't forget, our mind is a great machine. It creates thoughts, but it also creates doubt. It's natural for it to create doubt. It is designed to create doubt. It is designed for a good reason to create doubt. If the mind did not create doubt, we would be so gullible, we'd follow everybody and never find the truth. The doubt, the skepticism of the mind is a good thing. It enables you to discriminate, to see what's pulling you, what is not. You can't do that if the mind did not have doubt and did not take care to remove the doubt. So doubts come up all the time. But when the perfect living master's love comes, doubts begin to melt away. Not all at once, slowly they melt away. And one day you say, I have no doubt, I have had enough experience, both internally and externally, now to accept this is the master. Never worry about it. This is a natural process. Don't worry, my mind is doubting so much. Well, everybody's mind is doubting. I am no exception. I know the mind is built to doubt. But the trouble comes when from doubt comes the next stage, which is fear. Do you know, when you doubt, that's when the fear comes in? The fear is actually a follow-up from doubt. When you doubt, you are afraid. And fear holds us back from our true path more than doubt even. When we are afraid, we don't want to move. So fear has to go away. When the doubts are removed, and that kind of faith without doubt, unshakable faith comes, fear disappears automatically with it. It's such a beautiful experience to be in this world with all its ups and downs and be totally fearless. That's what the path of the masters makes you. Totally fearless, unshakable doubt. And when the masters come and talk to us, you'll never see fear in them. You will see they don't speak from anything except their experience, which they are speaking directly from watching the experience, not remembering their experience. And therefore, there's never any fear, never any doubt. You will notice that when these perfect living masters give us a discourse, there is no maybe or perhaps in their language. They don't say maybe it could be like that, perhaps it might be that. There's no such thing. They are not academic lecturers who studied the subject from books and giving a lecture. They are talking directly from their experience as it is happening to them at that time. So I am making all these points.
Beautiful talk. So, my dear holy family, it's time to come out of this reality and go into a different reality, the true reality of love. Let's come up here at the Third Eye Center to our throne, the throne of God that has been reserved to us. Sit on that throne, hold the hand of Master, repeat the holy name slowly at intervals with the tongue of thought, and have few gratitude words for the Master. And I hope you will have a great meditation. I'll keep Zoom on for 20 minutes, and I hope to see you tomorrow for another holy day in Holy Father God. Thank you for coming.